Salve! Hello, and welcome to the Novium Museum Storytime with me, Katia. Today I'm going to be reading you a Roman story called Theft in the Bathhouse. Now this is a very special story because it's interactive. So when you hear me say certain words, there are actions that you can do at home too. So when I say Julius Cassius, I want you to give me a big wave. When I say bathhouse, I want you to swim. When I say Centurion, I want you to strike a big warrior pose. And when I say oysters, I want you to pull a funny face and go, ew! Does that sound like fun? Good! Then I'll begin. The year is 71 AD. Novium Reginorum, Britannia. Julius Cassius, a wealthy citizen, is on his way to the bathhouse to relax and catch up with some of his politician friends. It has been a few days since he saw them last, and they have many important issues of state to discuss. He can't wait to get there and relax in one of the many baths and maybe even treat himself to a massage. He deserves it after the morning he has had. His two children, Augusta and Antonius, were being very naughty this morning and have given him quite a headache. His twins could be so troublesome sometimes, always playing pranks, making noise and just being mischievous. That morning they were driving Julius Cassius mad, so he sent them off to the market to give him some peace. As Julius reached the bathhouse, he was greeted by his friends. As he made his way in, he could hear the sound of splashing as bathers jumped into the pool, as well as shrieks and cries from the people having their hair plucked from their bodies. After several hours of relaxation, conversation, and having devoured many oysters, Julius returned to the changing rooms, and he realised that his favourite brooch and ring were not where he had placed them. He was outraged. He had left his slave, Brutus, to look after his precious belongings, and now they had gone. After searching the changing rooms and asking other patrons if they had seen what had happened, he called for a centurion to get to the bottom of the mystery. Salve, Julius Cassius. My name is Claudius Maximus. What seems to be the problem? There is a thief in the bathhouse, Julius exclaimed. Someone has stolen my prized jewellery. I left it here with my slave, Brutus, and now it is nowhere to be found. You must find out what happened. No problem, the centurion Claudius replied. I will investigate at once. The first person I need to speak to is your slave. So Julius Cassius called for Brutus, his slave, to come and explain himself. Brutus was a good slave, but he did slack sometimes. He especially loved his breaks and nap time. Brutus said that he didn't know what had happened. Julius was furious. Julius shouted, "What do you mean you don't know what happened? You were supposed to look after my jewellery whilst I am at the bathhouse. How did you lose it?" Brutus couldn't explain himself. The centurion Claudius was not convinced by Brutus. Claudius took Julius Cassius to one side and said, "It seems to me that Brutus is hiding something. Gold jewellery doesn't just disappear." So Claudius and Julius left Brutus to think about what he had supposedly done and would return to him later for further questioning. Claudius spent some time inspecting the bathhouse and speaking to people who were present at the time. No one seemed to remember what had happened, but several people remember seeing a man acting strangely, hiding in the shadows and wearing a hooded cloak. This man must be the thief, Julius thought. We must find him at once. When I get my hands on him, I will make sure he is sent to the arena to face the lions. Stealing my brooch and ring is a crime that must be punished. Find him! Claudius agreed, but still wasn't convinced that Brutus was completely innocent. He was sure that Brutus was hiding something from Julius. Julius ignored Claudius, saying it was absolute nonsense. Brutus is a loyal slave. It is this hooded man we must find. He is a criminal. Search the bathhouse immediately. So, the people spread out and searched high and low for the hooded man. Suddenly, cries broke out from the courtyard. "He's here! I found him!" And people started to gather to see this mysterious man. "Take your hood down!" Claudius shouted. But the hooded man refused to remove his cloak and stood still with his head down. "Right. The way I see it, either you, young man, in the hood, or the slave, Brutus, is responsible for the missing jewellery. Explain yourself at once." The hooded man slowly removed his hood. "Fine. I will tell you the truth. My name is Cornelia Severnus." Everyone gasped. You're a woman!" they all exclaimed. This was a shock, because women weren't allowed in the bathhouse. Cornelia explained to the men that she had been coming to the bathhouse for months, selling oysters to all you rich folk, and none of you have ever even noticed me. You wouldn't even know now if this giant oaf Brutus hadn't fallen asleep rather than doing his job. The piece of the puzzle was slowly starting to add up. Brutus reluctantly admitted that he had fallen asleep when he should have been watching his master's belongings. "I'm so sorry, master. I was so tired and I only rested my eyes for 1 minute, I swear. And when I opened them again, your gold brooch and ring were gone. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I just could not keep my eyes open. If it hadn't been for all that giggling, I think I would still be asleep now." Julius was so disappointed. Things still didn't add up. "I walked straight past him, snoring away, silly fool," Cornelia added. "Other than being knocked to the ground by these 2 people running through the bathhouse, giggling, and not looking where they were going, it would have been easy to sneak in here with no one noticing." "I can't believe this," thought Julius Cassius. "What a day! First my children are misbehaving, and now this, whatever next?" Claudius looked at his 2 suspects, Brutus the slave and Cornelia the oyster seller. He wasn't sure which one of them did it. They both looked very scared indeed. Perhaps there was something they were missing. But who else could it be? Suddenly, it dawned on Claudius that there might be another option. Brutus and Cornelia didn't seem like criminals, and he had to make sure he had the right person, or an innocent person was going to be fed to the lions. Claudius paced up and down, thinking over his options. Then, suddenly he exclaimed, "Cornelia, you mentioned that 2 people ran past you and knocked you to the ground, and Brutus, you mentioned that you heard giggling right before you woke up." The slave, Brutus, nodded. "Who would do such a thing? Who could laugh and joke about upsetting me?" Who could possibly find that funny? It suddenly dawned on Julius that he may know the culprit after all. He realised that the 2 people standing in front of him were completely innocent, and the real thieves were long gone. Julius knew that it was his children all along, the little troublemakers. He also remembered that he had sworn by all the gods that the thieves would be put into the arena to face the lions. He couldn't do that to his beloved children, even if they had caused a lot of trouble. He had to think quickly. But how could he get out of the situation? A test. This was simply a test of security," Julius told them. "I arranged the whole thing, just to see how you'd all react, and you reacted very well. I asked Brutus to pretend to be asleep to see if anyone would wake him. Well done, Centurion Claudius. You did very well. Now, let's all go home." Claudius was very confused by this. Something wasn't quite right. "Hold on a minute," he said. "You mean to tell me that this was a trick?" "I don't believe you." You're hiding something. Julius couldn't hide anything from the brave Claudius. Oh, okay. It was my children, Julius told the Centurion. My naughty, mischievous children. They had been hiding here in the bathhouse and up to no good all day, and they obviously played a cruel trick on me. I'm very sorry for wasting your time, good Centurion. Please don't take this any further. They don't understand their actions. They must be punished. How else will they learn their lesson? Said Claudius. Cornelia suddenly had an idea. I go to the market every day selling oysters, but I could use some help. I need someone to go down to the harbour to catch and wash the oysters for me. Then I can sell them on to the people. It's hard work. It's a very messy job. Lots of slime, and they will definitely smell quite fishy by the end of the day. Julius Cassius started laughing with delight. Yes, I think this sounds perfect. A hard day's work will do them the world of good. They will be there. What time do they start, Cornelia? 4 a.m. down the harbour, Cornelia replied. So Julius's twins, Augusta and Antonius, spent the next month with Cornelia and her oyster-selling business. It was the hardest thing they had ever done, and they definitely thought twice about playing cruel tricks on their father again. The end. We will see you next time for some more stories with the Novium Museum. Wale!